Hey everyone, Egman here with another video. We got special guest DigiPanda. How are you?
I am doing well, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. And we are here with another episode of Good, Bad, or Broken. So you may know DigiPanda from Digimon, and he's been on my streams a lot, and we've been doing a lot of Digimon content. But I also do a lot of Dragon Ball Super stuff, and he's not played a single game of the game, correct?
That is correct. I read the manga, I watch the anime. That is it.
Okay, cool. So, which is perfect for what this series is. What we're going to do is we're going to bring up some cards. We're going to have 7 cards this time, and you have to look at them. I'll just kind of explain what they are, and then you have to guess if currently, not in the past, but as of mid-January 2022, if the card is good, bad, or if it is broken, which means it's been eroded, limited to one, or banned, essentially.
All right. I am ready for this challenge.
Cool. All right. And remember that too, viewers, because I think we're probably going to get a ban list in the next month or so. So that may change some of these cards, but I'm trying my best to do more just general good cards. So, and real quick, so what card games have you played in the past?
I have played, I think the earliest game I ever played was Yu-Gi-Oh!
Mm-hmm.
And then I played some Magic the Gathering, Hearthstone. And then Hearthstone and Magic the Gathering has kind of fallen out of for me.
Yeah.
I'll occasionally touch Yu-Gi-Oh! Just to solitaire decks,
Mm-hmm.
and Digimon is about the extent I'll play.
Yeah.
Anything.
Sure. So yeah, we talked earlier too, and so Dragon Ball Super has a lot of similarities to Magic, but it's also made by Bandai, who makes Digimon. So there are some minor similarities between those two as well. But I think we should just get started with the first one, which is the Zeno Button. So this is an extra card, also known as an option card in Digimon. It costs 0. It is blue. It says counterattack, switch all of your blue energy to active mode. And so something real quick for Dragon Ball Super is that unlike Digimon, when you swing in, you pretty much have the only way you can interact with your opponent is with a blocker, right? Most of the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So in one of the core aspects of Dragon Ball Super is having counters. Most counters, you do it and it stops the attack. This one, the attack still goes through, but you just switch all your blue energy to active mode. So that is the idea. And then after that happens, there's something called a combo phase, where you can discard cards from your hand to make your cards more powerful. And there's some effects that activate in the battle step as well. So that's kind of the idea of it. So this card will still get your opponent into their battle step to activate some of these effects, but you do get to untap all of your blue energy.
So I'm looking at this as
Yes.
2 lines of thought. Number 1, it's Zeno. So
Yes.
potentially broken. The 0 cost makes me want to say it's broken because, we've had stuff like Hammer Spark, make a Digimon Fusion.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm leaning right now. And then switch all of your blue energy to active mode. I really want to say this is a broken card.
Okay.
Right off the bat.
All right. Final answer.
Final answer. I'm going to go with broken. If not
Yes.
good.
Yes. So this is from the second set, and I think it lived for about 2 years until it was banned completely. And it honestly was surprising to me how long a card like this is, because you can switch, once again, switching all of your cards or your energy to active mode is a huge swing sometimes. Sometimes this can untap like 4 or 5 cards, which is really, really crazy. And the reason it lived for so long was there were a lot of cards, like when this first came out, we didn't have a lot of cards that activated during this combo step. So yes, you got to untap your energy, but you really weren't able to do anything until your turn anyways. But eventually we had a lot of more cards, especially one called a rival, which means you could play cards during the battle step for like a reduced cost, which is really good. And it also says blue energy, and that means that when we got blue, like multicolor energy, so like blue yellow, blue red, this untapped that as well, which became incredibly powerful.
Oh no.
Yeah, so this card's pretty banned. I think if this one would have to be unbanned, it would have to cost more than 0, and which I don't think we have any more cards today, but yeah, there are a lot of broken 0 cost cards in this game. And the other thing is that it would have to probably say mono blue energy. But even if this is like 2 cost and you have to like discard a card and it's only mono blue energy, I think it'd probably still be played. So cool. All right, so you're 1 for 1. We're going to go to this next card. So this is Absolute Space Super Saiyan 3 Trunks. It is a 5 cost. It has a Zeno Evolve, and Digimon is all about evolving as well. So I did kind of tailor a couple cards that are similar to Digimon as well, but it does cost for 5 for a Trunks Zeno. So essentially you play this for 5 when there's a Trunks Zeno out and send it to the warp. And so it has triple strike, which means essentially security attack +2 for Digimon. When this does damage, you do 3 damage. And then also auto, when a card evolves in this card, draw 1, choose one of your energy, switch to active mode, and then choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and send it to their warp, which is more or less removed from play in this game. It has 25k power, and it has a this is your first battle card, so you see on the left it has a 1 and then a 10k. So during the battle step, if you pay 1 energy, you can discard this card from your hand to have your battle card gain 10k power. And kind of the steps of power are 5. So normally it's everything's either 1 cost 10k combo or 0 cost 5k combo.
Hey. What's the? So do you also start at base level 3 in Dragon Ball Super?
Base level 3. What do you mean by that?
Sorry, I read the whole Xeno Evolve 5. So you were mentioning something about levels. And that's where I was like, so is this like a level 5 or?
Oh no, sorry. This costs 5. This costs 5 to be the Xeno Evolve. Yeah.
I'm gonna. It's Trunks and it's Super Saiyan 3, but triple strike. It doesn't. I'm gonna go with. Okay, it's gotta be a. It can't be bad. It's gotta be good. It's gotta be a good card because Super Saiyan 3. It's Trunks. Trunks is fan favorite. It's also Xenoverse, which is even more fan favorite. So I'm going basically based off of character. Because if this is like a Yamcha or like a Cyberman or whatever, I'd be like, that's Garbo. So I'm gonna definitely go with good.
Okay, final answer?
That is my final answer.
All right, so this card came out in BT4, which was, I think, like fall of 2019. And to note, it is probably the worst super rare they've ever printed. It is very terrible. And I especially remember this because when I was getting into the game, I got like 3... I got a playset of this by buying boxes and like playsets of none of the other super rares. And I was very upset. So the thing about this guy, a couple of things. So first, one, it just aged also worse. Like when it came out, it wasn't super good, and then it didn't. It is kind of strong. It is a 25k in triple strike, which is good. But most of the problem with this card is just how expensive it is. Having to pay 5 means it has to be very good. It also doesn't have any protection. I know you play Yu-Gi-Oh, and so there are cards that have protection, and mostly the ones that we have are barrier or deflect. So barrier just means you can't target it. And deflect means you can't do anything when it's getting played, because there's this weird ruling where bear doesn't affect cards when they're coming into play, only when they're on the board. So it was weird. It's weird. Anyways, so it doesn't have any of that. So it's very, very good to get popped. And 5 energy is a lot of energy in this game, especially since we only normally get into like turn 4 most of the time. Turn 5 is usually the kill turn, and this doesn't do a lot of that. And there's not a lot of ramp in this game either. So normally you have as much energy as what turn you're on. There's not a lot of ramp. So it doesn't do a lot. I mean, triple strike can put in a lot of damage, but this is not a good card.
Man, they do my boy Trunks dirty.
I know, the art's great. Like, it looks very good. And this is definitely more of a trick just because of the artwork and what it looks like. But yeah, not a super good card. Let's go to the next one. We've got Revenge Final Flash. So this is another extra card, so like an option card. Counterplay, so it costs 2, and then also, I think this is the first time we've had specified costs. So if you look here, it has a red dot and a yellow dot, so you have to pay 2 energy for it, and one of them has to be a red energy, and one of them has to be yellow energy.
Okay, so there's no colorless equivalent?
So black is kind of colorless, so you'll see this is a 5 drop. So you could just hard cast this for 5 if you wanted to. Black didn't get like specified cost until like last year, honestly. Black's kind of like its weird own generic kind of color archetype. But yeah, so most of the time things don't have specified cost all the way up but multicolor cards almost always have at least one hard specified for one of its colors and one for the other.
Okay.
So it has counterplay, draw one. Then your opponent may choose one extra card from their hand and place it in their drop area. If they don't, the battle card being played has its skills negated for the duration of the turn. And this also means that the specified, how this is that it has its on-play autos. So something that's kind of a distinction in this game is that cards have effects while they're on the field, but also there's a kind of subset of cards that say, when you play this card, do something. For example, this card, when a card evolves into this card, draw one. So it would get all of that negated. Some cards only kind of negate after the fact, which means that you still get the when this card evolves, untap and draw one. But this would prevent you from getting all of that. It would make that Trunks just a 25k beat stick without triple strike and without the draw one evolving and the warping.
And that's where the protection is very handy.
Yes. So if the card had deflect, you wouldn't be able to do any of this effects against it.
I am going to say this card is good.
Okay.
I don't think it's broken, because I think if it was broken, it would have a cheaper cost or a less color restriction. The reason why I say it's good, and I'm just going off of the effect, is anytime something lets you draw a card and then you do additional stuff after it, that gives you a lot of value for the card. So, and on top of that, it's Baby Vegeta. So Revenge Final Flash, probably a good card, probably. So I'm gonna lock in Final good.
Okay. Well, I think a good amount of people would agree with you when this card was first shown. But it is also a bad card.
Damn it.
Yeah, so I will say Counterplay has the potential to be fantastic for what it does. It's not on this list, but we do have one of the limited cards in this game it's called Cold Bloodlust, and it's one cost. All you have to do is you have to have a Frieza army as your leader. Has to have that trait, and a lot of the cards kind of have to you have to have specific traits on your leader. Which is kind of like My Hero Academia, which I think you said you were looking at but haven't played.
I played a couple games with a friend local, but that's about it.
Okay, so some effects depend on what status your leader is and what color your leader is and stuff. But all it said was for one, the card just gets negated no matter what, and that card was busted. So this was kind of like an idea. So they limited that to one, and they were like, all right, how do we make a more kind of balanced version of this? So this was kind of a step in the right direction, and it's a lot like Skill Drain in Yu-Gi-Oh! In a lot of in that way. And as far as I know, Skill Drain wasn't a great card either.
It's a really good card.
Not Skill Drain. No, so sorry. Magic Drain. Magic Drain's the card I'm thinking about.
Yeah, that's a bad card.
Yeah, that's a bad card. Yeah, so this was like the Magic Drain of Dragon Ball Super, and so it wasn't play. I mean, the draw one is nice, but paying 2 energy to draw one card and it's based on your opponent's
potentially countering.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you technically will draw 2 because you get to, or you go +1 if your opponent discards a card, right? So it's fine, but it's more of just the energy cost is expensive, and most of the red-yellow decks are more aggro, and so they don't like leaving their energy up on their opponent's turn.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, all right, going on to the next card, we've got Furthering Destruction Champa. So this is from the first set in the game. It is a 3 cost for 2 specified red. Has an auto. When you combo with this card, so this is where I'm talking about where you kind of discard your card during the combo step. Choose one of your attacking cards. It gains double strike for the duration of the turn. So it essentially is Security Attack +1. And something else based on Digimon is that if you do the damage, it's guaranteed, right? You don't have to compare the battle levels, just go to your opponent's hand. Additionally, we start with 8 life for most leaders, and when you're out of security or out of life, you're just done. It's not like Digimon where you have 0 and you have to hit one more time.
Oh.
So a security attack +3 would be able to end the game if your opponent had 3 life.
Is piercing a thing also in Dragon Ball Super?
There's some mild cases of cards that say when you KO a battle card, deal damage. They're rare, but they are more valuable if they're good to pull off because you don't have to. Normally, if your opponent has maybe a small 5k compared to their leader who's a 10k, you could swing into the battle card. You already pop the battle card, and then if that happens, then they take the life damage too. So they'd have to spend more cards to save you from that. But there isn't piercing in the way that this double strike will give that kind of thing double damage. This is really only double strike only really works if you're swinging into your opponent's leader and your card has double strike.
So this costs 3, and 2 of which has to be red.
Correct, but that's just if you want it on the field. If you want to combo this card and give your attacking card combo or a double strike, you just have to pay 1, and it gets the 10k boost.
I'm gonna say good card.
Okay,
because it's Champa.
Yeah, it is probably one of the best cards in the game. It has lasted the test of time. People play this card when they aren't playing red, strictly because they need to be able to give something double strike to go for game. It is probably one of the most staple cards in the entire game.
So you can basically cross cards over into different colors.
Correct. So yeah, you obviously wouldn't be able to hard cast this, but that's fine because you just have to pay 1 of any energy. So since it's a 1 colorless, you're able to do that.
But it's physically playing the card for 2 red energy, which would be where you would need it in a red build.
Correct, but yeah, I've played this game for 4 years, and I've literally never seen this card on the field. It is always it is strictly for it. It's to the point where most games end by putting your opponent not to 1 life but to 2, and you want to try to get like a double strike in or something like this. And this Champa is good, especially since right now there's a lot of ways to kind of interact with like battle cards that are on the field and either like pop them mid battle or something like that. But if you swing with your leader cards are almost interactable, and they can't get, you can't kill them, or you just like the game doesn't know what to do anymore, right? So the idea is that you swing with something like this, are a card that has a lot of protection, and so your opponent can't destroy it with combo with their effects, and then you can give it double strike on top of that, so your opponent has to hard combo out of this attack, or they just lose. So. Okay. Yeah, very, very good card. He's been reprinted like 4 times.
2 for 2 right now, right?
2 for 2, yes.
2 4, 2 4.
2 out of 4, yes. So we're going to go into this 5th card here. It is Growing Evil Life Form Cell. So this is a 3 cost for 2 specified green. It has a Union Absorb, which is kinda like Jagras. It's not really, but it's one of the closest analogs I could think of. So what you do is you place 1 Aandroidd 17 from your hand underneath this card, and then you can play up to 1 cell with any cost of 5 or less from your deck on top of this.
Okay.
And that is it. And I'll even go a step further that because it's thematic. And a lot of these cards are really thematic, which I really do appreciate this game, that they kind of go for that. One of the 5-drop cells, what you can do is that it's the not the ultimate, but it's the
imperfect.
Imperfect, yeah. And so then you can have like the same Union Absorb effect where you put an Aandroidd 18 and then you go into like a perfect force cell kind of thing, or ultimate force cell kind of thing.
Okay. Still 3 if you wanted to play it for its max. I think I'm getting the hang of like the rulings down. If you wanted to play this card as like its own entity.
Yeah.
It's 3, 2 of which have to be green.
Yeah.
And the Union Absorb is a inherent -1 from your hand.
Correct, but it does let you ramp up into something larger, right? And so this game from the deck too, which is arguably better than hand because you don't lose hand advantage for doing it.
Correct.
So this game sometimes runs into issues where you have to be careful about playing from deck because cards could be in your life instead. That's just, especially since you start with 8 life compared to like 5 in Digimon.
Oh, and if you fail to find, you just fail to find?
Correct, yeah. But I would say one of the kind of key characteristics about this deck is that a lot of cards have ways to be cheated out for less than their energy cost. Especially since kind of like the way the game is that there's a lot of cards that interact and kind of pop things that have a specific like cost of 4 or less. And so you have a bunch of these big boys who have energy costs higher than that, but you have a way to pay them for like 2 or 3 energy, so you can still play them on turn 3, but they aren't interacted by cards that would counter them on turns 2 and 3, if that makes sense. So
I am going, Cell's another like fan favorite. I think Toriyama even said that Cell was probably like his favorite villain, and he's kind of just forced to do Boo. I would say this is a good card based on the fact that you can, you're digging for a more powerful card from the deck, but you're right, if it's in the life, then you're kind of just losing out on that value. Because if you place the Aandroidd 17 from hand under this card, and then you fail to find the imperfect cell, you just lose a card from your hand.
Yeah, though, there are, it's just any, it's not like a specific card number, it's any 5-drop cell, so.
Are there any number of restrictions? Is it 4 per a deck still? Like Digimon?
4 per deck, but you can run, as long as the card's not limited, yeah.
Yeah.
Unlike Digimon, most of these cards have a character name, so you'll see the character name here in the bottom, and they also have special traits. But then they have like their card name. So mostly this, when it has the angle brackets here, it only cares about the character name. So you could technically like find another copy of this from your deck, but like that wouldn't really do much.
Doesn't give you value. Yeah,
doesn't really give you value, but it is open ended because it just says 5 or less.
I will lock in good.
Okay. This was one of the first limited cards in the entire game. You can only run one of this still, since I believe it got limited in like 2019. I think January of 2019. So almost 3 years. It's been on the ban list almost. It's been on the limited list almost as long as it's been existed, if not already. It is such an old card. It's from the second set, where set 16 is coming out in a couple weeks.
What gave it a limit?
So the limit for this guy was not the. So the original reason that was provided was so first there's a 5-drop, and then the 5-drop go in the 7-drop, and the 7-drop was very good. The 7-drop pretty much said when you play this card, your opponent discards down into having only 3 cards left in hand. In this game, you would normally have hand sizes of like 9 or 10. Like you draw a lot, especially since all those cards from your life go to your hand most of the time too. If you're being really aggressive, your opponent will have a lot of cards in hand, and then you use the cell, and then you pretty much make all that damage crit damage afterwards. So that's the reason why. And they kind of gave the reason that we're limiting it to 1 because it's a little bit too open ended for what kind of cells you're able to find, and it's a little bit too good for what it is. With the assumed idea that they would make more cell cards that would be able to go around and play around this, and that never really happened. So
yeah, it's expected.
A lot of people are asking for this card back, especially since this card doesn't have any protection, nor does the 5-drop, nor does the 7-drop that it goes into. It might be an 8-drop. I think it's an 8-drop, not a 7-drop. But it's people have been claiming that this card can come off the ban list for a long time. I don't know how I feel about that. I think that's a discussion for another time, but it is still limited to 1 after all this time. And but I would say this is kind of one of the more weird and archaic ones that they're on that list.
Because when you mentioned that it's restricted, I was like, what makes it restricted? Because like I understand Zeno Button because it was 0 cost. It was like that's a lot of value right there.
Yeah.
But this feels like it's because of the fact that you can turbo up. It makes me think of like the Argomon from Digimon, where you can Digizorb in and Evo up quick.
And that's kind of why I did that, because Digimon has a lot of ways to kind of cheat Digivolve up into bigger boys, and so this is probably the best example of kind of being able to do that for this game. And it is limited to 1. They do not want you to do that. All right, next card we've got Zamasu, Sacred Disbelief. So this is a multicolor card, and this is another kind of cornerstone to this game. It is a super combo. So you'll see on the left-hand side, it is a 10k, but it costs 0 energy to combo with. And so super combo is a keyword in this game. So unlike kind of other cards, you can only have 4 cards with the super combo tag in your deck.
Period. Okay.
Probably the first super combo that came out was more or less of, if you have 4 less life when you combo with this card, draw 1. That was kind of the the standard for super combos for a lot of ways. They kind of deviated from it. And then in set 9, when we started having multicolor cards, we have the Zamasu. So if your leader card is blue or yellow, when you combo with this card from your hand, choose up to one of your opponent's leader cards or battle cards and just switch it to rest mode. And that's what it does. And it is a blue-yellow card, which is important because with multicolor cards, there's a way to, not all cards have it, but there's a way to arrival them, which more or less means if you have the colors that the card is in your combo area, you can pay its cost to play it during the combo step. So every color combination got one of these super combos where it's 2 colors, and most of them don't get the draw, but they do get some kind of other effect on top of being 2 colors because most multicolored cards do cost 1 to combo with because they are multicolored. So having a multicolored card that costs 0 to combo with is not common, which is why it's restricted to super rare. So you can only have super combos. You can only have 4 of them.
Zamasu was another fan favorite during Super, so this is where it's debatable on whether it's good or not. I want to say it's good based on the fact that the 0 plus 0 cost is really good.
Yeah.
In addition to the fact that you have, but the downside is you need blue yellow. The blue yellow basically makes me think of
No.
Gathering.
So you don't have to have that. That's just if you want to hard cast the card.
No. I'm saying, but that's what I'm saying. Like if you want to hard cast the Zamasu Sacred Disbelief,
yes,
you would need a blue and a yellow energy, which
correct.
with like Magic the Gathering, as we discussed, this is kind of like Azorius, where you've got blue and then blue like ocean and then sea or island. Sorry, island and plains like lands, or you have the combination lands, which there is combination energy, which
is any card. Yeah, so you'll see this card and the one that we talked about earlier. It has this little keyword called energy exhaust, and almost every multicolored card has energy exhaust, where it's just placed in your energy and rest mode. There are some cards that, if certain conditions are met, they ignore their energy exhaust when they're played, so that's good. But this, I would say, super combos are highly coveted cards in general. Just the tag, which means because you can only have 4 of them, so you are rarely charging them and playing them. They would be strictly for the combo step most times.
I definitely want to say this is a good card, and I feel like it wouldn't be banned or broken because of the fact that it's already limited to 4 in a deck, which is already an inherent limitation, which is why I'm going to lock in good.
All right, yeah, this is a good card. This is probably one of the better super combos in the game. Not only blue and yellow work really well together as colors. Yellow's about a lot of tapping, blue's a lot of untapping. So if you can do both, your opponent just can't do anything. You have a lot of options ready for you. Being able to one of the key things about this card is that it interacts with leader cards, which is kind of rare in this game. So and most leader cards that whenever you swing in with them, you just inherently get to draw a card. So if they swing with a battle card to begin their turn and you use the Zamasu to rest their leader, you probably block the attack, but also prevent another swing, which is good. And you prevent your opponent from drawing from their leader and stuff. So there's a lot of examples where you want to prevent your opponent from entering battle, so they can't get some of their effects that are restricted to the battle activated. And this card is really good for that defense and kind of doing that. This is probably a really good card. And there's also kind of like that arrival mechanic I talked about. Blue-yellow has some good arrival cards. So just having this for 1 and having blue-yellow instead of having to either combo a blue card and a yellow card to get arrival off, or pay 1 extra energy to combo a regular blue-yellow card, this is a far better alternative.
Interesting.
All right, so you are, I believe, tied up at 3-3, and we've got one last card for the day, and here it is. So this is Frieza and Cell, a match made in hell. Very cute card. It is a unison card, so it is what is it, like a commander in Magic the Gathering, right? Right? Is that the right? Or Planeswalker?
Yeah,
Planeswalker.
Planeswalker. Okay.
And so, what pretty much real quick. So it costs 2 blue, but you can play as much as you want for it. So you can pay 4, and if you pay 4, then it has 4 markers on it. So kind of once again, like how Magic does their thing. And so so how unison cards work is you can only have one. They are not battle cards. They have no traits, so you'll see like they don't have like any character names or anything like that. They only have themselves. And then whenever they take damage or would like be popped, you just remove a marker from it. So again, if you get like use like a double strike, you can like if you swing in and use a Champa on something, this would lose 2 markers instead of the 1. Additionally, when you swing into a unison, you as the defender who owns the unison can't do any combos. So you can guarantee doing damage on these unisons by just getting up to their power level and doing that, which is not common for leaders or battle cards. Most of the time, your opponent will have an opportunity to combo up. All right, that out of the way. So it has a skill called Rejuvenate. So remove 4 markers from this card and place the top card and place 1 card underneath this card to its owner's drop area and play the top card of your deck into your life. So it's Recover, essentially in Digimon. And auto once per turn, when a card in a battle area is returned to its owner's hand by a skill, draw 1. Then you choose 1 card in your hand and place it on top or bottom of your deck. And then +1 activate, choose 1 blue battle card in your hand with any cost of 1 and play it. And that's this guy.
Oh man, it sounds like blue is just a really good color in this game.
It is probably the second best color in the game. Yellow has probably consistently been the best color, but blue does get a lot of love.
So green is like Cell.
Yes.
Blue is like Frieza.
Frieza's yellow. Frieza likes to do.
Frieza's yellow. Who's blue?
Most of the time. Blue is normally Goku and Saiyans, but they change it up a lot. Normally, they kind of had like these archetype identities, but now 16 sets later, right? They're like, we don't really care that much. We kind of have archetypes that are similar colors, but it's kind of all over the place now.
So it's kind of like Agumon, where Agumon's used to be purely red, and now he's everywhere.
Yeah, but now do that for most characters, and most main characters, I'd say.
Yeah. And what set did this one come out? Was it like later or
this was set 12, which was like a year ago, I believe. He's a little bit older than a year. Unisons came out summer of 2020.
The problem for me is I'm looking at this and I'm like, it's really good art. It's got Cell and Frieza on it. That's got to be, indication of good. But I've already been tricked by Super Saiyan 3 Trunks.
Yeah.
But the life recovery makes me think it's really good. I don't think it's necessarily broken because you mentioned that you can only have one of these. Is that correct?
You can only have one unison in your area. It specifically has this thing called a unison area, and you can only have 1 card there at a time.
Okay.
So if you wanted to play a different unison, you'd have to send this one to the discard pile and then play it.
How many unisons can you have in a deck? As many as you want.
Though the standard is usually between 4 and 8. Cards also deck size in this game is 50 to 60.
Okay, so there's a range. It's not Digimon's 50.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah. And I would say it's like this game kind of follows more of like a standard kind of Magic or Hearthstone kind of curve compared to how Digimon has its kind of like 15, 10, 8, 4 kind of.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna go with good.
Okay.
Good card.
Okay. Final answer?
Final answer.
Right.
It's got to be good.
All right. You said good for I think like 4 of these. So this
bad, isn't it?
Yeah. This card is bad.
Damn it.
I did. So I will say Rejuvenation is not a very popular skill in this game. It first came out with this guy, and more or less how everything got it was with a unison like this, and where they had to pay a pretty hefty cost to get that one. There's been, before set 12, there's been little to no way to getting more life back. Unlike Digimon, like Yellow can get like 2 life back every turn.
That's the thing with like Digimon. My mind was thinking like, okay, recovery, security recovery, regeneration. Okay, that's got to be like a really good skill.
Yeah,
like,
and that's why I did it, and that's why I think if someone hard pressed me, I'd say this is somewhat viable. The thing with this card, I'd say, is that there's not a good archetype to actually take advantage of it properly. I'd say that's the biggest issue with this. The other thing specifically with this guy compared to other ones, so every color got this Rejuvenate essentially at the same time. The problem with this guy is that most of the other unisons, their +1 had a way to put a card underneath it to get that extra cost of having to place the top or the place the card underneath it to get the additional rejuvenate part cost. This had no way of doing that. The only way you could truly do that is that if you have another copy of the same unison out, you can put one copy from your hand underneath it to add an additional marker to it. So that was a way, but this was a very archetype dependent. This was for a PyCon list, and so there was other cards that were able to put a card underneath this unison, but the PyCon deck was never very good. So this card never saw some play for. There's some niche decks that did run it to be, being able to play a blue battle card from your hand at any cost of 1 every turn is okay, but it never really took off, which stinks because I love this art. And Frieza and Cell are two of my favorite characters in the entire series, so it really stunk that this card never really took off.
Gotcha. Tricked again.
Yeah,
beautiful art.
I tried not to be too tricky, but I did want to do rejuvenation just because I know recover was like a cornerstone of Digimon. So I wanted to see your thoughts on that. And we literally the Digimon ban list just happened got announced a couple of days ago, and a recovery card did get limited to 1.
That is correct.
So well, cool. I think that is all of the cards we have for us. And with a final score of 3-4. I think I would say probably the trickiest card I gave you. I don't know, that probably this Frieza. So that's why I put it last. Was I wanted it to be kind of a trickier card.
The Imperfect Cell one. Yeah, the Imperfect Cell one was the one where I was like, I could feel like this is really good, but I think the cost itself.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't understand why, because I also don't know of the archetypes too well. The archetypes can be a huge factor, but I was floating for this one. If you go through each one, I can tell you where I was floating.
Okay.
So let's jump to the first one.
So you got that one right. So you're good.
Zeno Button was the one where I was just it's Zeno. It's broken.
Yeah, it's the first card. I wanted to make it a little easier. I try to make it a little bit harder as we go on. But I also want to just try to have some analogs to the Digimon archetype. So
right. With the Super Saiyan 3 Trunks, I was 5 cost. Seems a little huge, but the triple strike effect was where I was seems really good. So it's kind of the high price, high return. But I also don't know how Dragon Ball Z plays. So if it's more of a you win by turn 5 and you can only put 1 energy down each turn, and you probably will never see this played.
Compared to Digimon 2, where 3 damage is essentially more than half of your life.
Yeah.
And so that is a big difference between the two. But in Digimon, you can die mid strike, so that's the trade off. But I don't think almost anything has inherently security to attack +2 in Digimon. I can't think of anything immediately. Nothing that sees play.
Nothing that there's nothing that can guarantee. Well, okay, so and you have to have the right conditions.
Yes, yeah.
To get that, so a BT1 War Greymon with tie out with all the evolution sources. Yeah, that's 3 checks right there.
Yeah, but I don't think something has. Okay, actually, I lied. The secret rare Metal Greymon has security attack +2 on it.
Oh yeah, you're right, it does. But there's a huge price.
Yeah, and but besides that, I don't think anything has it inherently. I think you have to give it Champa effects to gain that extra.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, fun fact: if you give something double strike that already has double strike, you just still do 2 damage. Still, that's how it's ruled.
Oh, it's not 4?
No, it's not 4 or 3.
Oh,
yeah,
that's silly.
All right.
With the Revenge Final Flash, I floated between good and this one. I just felt it was good. I didn't think it was broken because of the cost, but I also felt that I didn't understand how it could be bad because counterplay seemed like counterspell for magic.
Yeah.
So the whole aspect of no, you can't do that was that sounds annoying. I'm gonna go with good.
Yeah.
But because counterplay isn't a huge thing, when you use the reference, is it Magic Drain?
Yeah.
If it's Magic Drain, then it's bad. But if it's Solemn Judgment, that's good.
Yes, for sure. If this had an effect that said, I think the thing that made this really bad was that you were potentially spending 2 energy, which is a lot in this game, to maybe do nothing, which would really hurt a deck like this. So that's kind of the idea. There's not as much counterspell, and on my last episode, we did a counter called Battering Laser, which is banned, and all it says is that discard a card and negate a counter skill being played.
Huh.
And it is too good to exist in this game, and it's 100% still is right now. So counters are weird in this game. All right, Champa, you got?
I got that one. I think I said it was good.
Yes.
Because I didn't think it was broken again for its cost, and also the fact that when you combo with this card, choose one of your attacking cards. Like I thought that was fine. Like I felt it was overall really balanced. I didn't think it was bad. One of Champa was kind of like yes.
One of the weird things about this card is that it does work with unisons. Which is really weird because this was from the first set of the game, and they were like somewhat forced. Like the unisons would come out like 3.5 years later, but it still works with unisons because it says just choose one of your attacking cards, not battle card or leader cards. Most cards between sets 1 and 10 would specify battle card or leader card, if not both, and just attacking cards is that's rarely just called out by itself. All right, Cell. I said this was a bit of curveball, but it's really hard to have any of these union absorbs being mentioned without knowing what you kind of go into. So maybe next time I do one of these, I'll do like a half and half, but like maybe show.
Oh, I don't mind it at all. It was more the fact that I was like, it seems really good. I didn't see how it was bad. I definitely had it between good and broken. But I also didn't understand how it could be broken if you have the potential to fail define as one thing, and then two, its cost -1's your hand. So it was I think this is reasonable. I think it's good. So I'm curious how it was broken in the actual competitive scene when it first saw play.
So the 5-drop you go into, it says, if I remember right, draw a card and pop one of your opponent's cards. So you immediately recur the cost, and you get a 5 cost out.
Oh.
Yeah. So I don't know. These are kind of tricky to do by themselves. So maybe I'll try to do that in the future. But it's
I had no issue with it,
yes.
my dude.
All right, Zamasu, you got this one as well.
This one I've had it between like good and broken. I probably leaned more towards good, because of its if you're actually playing it for its like on play cost with the blue and yellow, you need 2 different types of energy, and then the other effect in general just seemed fine. So.
Yeah, and so once again, the cost for like the skill level of super combo cards are kind of above regular cards because you are hard restricted to these 4 in your deck. So if this was on a card that you could run 4 of without any consequence on, this would 1,000% be banned. Even if you had to like pay 1 for the combo cost for it, I definitely think people would still use this effect for the 1. So this is fantastic for what it is. And super combos are really weird. And so normally you kind of sometimes you do like half and halves, like 2 Zamasus and like 2 like regular, like just draw 1 10k super combos. But yeah, he's fantastic. And now he has like an archetype that's around Zamasu that's tapping stuff. And yellow's in a really good spot. It has like 7 ways to tap you out every turn, and it feels very uninteractive sometimes.
What are the colors in Dragon Ball Super? Are they just red, blue, yellow, green, black?
Yes. So when the game first came out, we had 4 colors. We had red, green, blue, and yellow. And then within the first year, we had black cards, which are more like colorless white cards in Digimon. So most of them were like these trunks where they had no cost. They pretty much the way they came out, where they have this mechanic called Overrealm, where you had to remove from game all the cards in your drop area, and then you get to play it for 1 or 0 energy. You got to play it for free. But then at the end of the turn, it gets removed from play itself. That was kind of the mechanic. And then eventually they started making archetypes around black. And then eventually they started making black cards with specific black energy. And then a couple months ago, they made black multicolored cards for the first time. Despite like multicolored cards existing since like 2019. So. And then this card, this is definitely a tricky one. But that was the last card for us, so I definitely want to make this one a little bit trickier.
I think the art was nice. That's why I was like, this is really nice art. I will say Bandai knows how to make good artwork on cards.
Dragon Ball Super specifically has it is ruined me for other card games because I have such a high quality of art kind of now. Like, and like I have like just the fact that this card looks good makes me want to play it, right? And that there's a lot of cards that are kind of like that.
Are there alt arts in Dragon Ball Super?
So this actually is the alt art of it. So you'll see.
Okay.
So this is a super rare, but it's a SPR, so it's the special rare version of it.
Okay.
So that was maybe a little trickier to make it look. The fact that it had an SPR would sometimes mean that it's a good card, but like it is in like a Mamemon in Digimon, that's not always the case.
Pain.
All right, well, that's going to be it for us. Thank you so much. Where can people find you if they're interested in Digimon content?
Hey, I am on YouTube.
Yes.
It is my typical home where I will make uploads to the best of my ability on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday.
Yes, and you're also a constant guest on my Twitch streams as well. We do a lot of testing for current stuff. We've got a new set coming out, next Friday, technically?
That is correct.
So that should be fun. And National is coming up in February for Digimon. So a lot of reasons to play the game right now too.
For sure.
So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll catch you all next time.
Damn it. Damn it.